All right. Come on in, come on in, come on in, come on in, come on in. Let's talk about it. Happy Thursday. This week went by fast. Happy Thursday to everybody, man. Look, we got a special guest. He's back. He's not even gonna be a special guest anymore, man. He's just here. This is his he comes on, man. So Marvin, what's the word?
Man, it's all good. Jay, always looking forward to talking about USC football and just excited to be here today.
Absolutely, man. So I want to get into let me say this first. Um, Happy birthday to the legend. I was getting ready to say Marcus Allen. Happy birthday to the legend, Marcus Allen, man. Salute to you. Hope you have a blessed birthday. Enjoy yourself.
Absolutely. Happy birthday to the best running back that USC's ever had, if you ask me. But yeah, definitely happy birthday, Marcus Allen.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we'll get into it, man. I got three topics that we got to kind of deal with. And let me greet some people real quick. Hey, fight on, fight on, fight on. Fight on, Fred. Hey, fight on, man. Fight on. Bobby, how you doing? Noble One, how you doing? Absolutely. So I want to get into some of this stuff, Marvin. USC has finally got back to the norm for us, man. And it's been years, especially when you talk about the Oregon versus USC battle of recruiting. USC appears to be finally back on top with recruiting, man. And there's anything they can do about it, man. What's your thoughts on that? And I want to get your thoughts on Danny Lane as well as a player.
Yeah, well, listen, this is how it should be. I mean, now that we have NIL, these programs can pay the players, period, up front, versus before everything was backdoor, everything was, under the table. And without question, you have a lot of schools that were in that heavy, and SC was losing recruits to some of these schools. We ain't got to call the schools out unless you want to. So yeah. I'm happy. I'm happy that USC is conquering California. That's the way it should be. I heard Danny Lang say that the best in California stay in California, and I love that. I love that. You know what I'm saying? I
Absolutely.
do. And this, for me, listen, I'm still a little bit bitter about the fact that the West Coast doesn't have its own conference anymore, because I do think we had a great collection of teams who were formidable and competitive. But I'm happy that these California kids aren't going down south, aren't going up there to Nike Town, aren't leaving to go to Texas. Man, this is LA. This is the media capital of the world. This is, you talking about weather, you talking about diversity, you talking about culture, you talking about an elite academic institution. Put football aside, USC is a top 25 school academically. You know what I'm saying? Now you bring football and other sports into it. Now it's just on a whole other level. So, I'm happy, man, that Lincoln Riley and them really, at this point in going into year 5, they finally have it together. When Lincoln first came in, I think that's when the transfer portal and NIL just kind of started. We didn't have a plan set in place. We didn't have a process. Now that we've got Chad has definitely brought leadership and stability. He's brought a vision, and Jen Cohen and Lincoln have bought into that. And we're seeing that vision come to fruition, and what's happening is USC is winning the West Coast like Absolutely. It has in other periods when we were elite. John McKay, Howard Jones, Pete Carroll, John Robinson. We were winning the West Coast back then.
Absolutely.
Now we're winning it again. And listen, it's like dominoes falling. When other players see elite players staying home, it makes them want to stay home. You know what I mean? So this is it's finally all coming together, man. And I'm really happy for the program. And I want to see the results show up on the field now.
I'm gonna keep it real with you, MV3. Look, for years, I felt some type of way when I would see guys like, and no shade on anybody, but when I would see guys like CJ Stroud at Ohio State, or I would see Bryce Young at Alabama, or I would see Najee Harris at Alabama. I would see these guys, and it would literally like tick me off. And the thing is, it's like I knew, and I've always known this. All of us always known this, especially me being a Southern California native, growing up in inner city. I've always known that if we just kept our talent in town, if we could just keep them in town, we could compete with anybody. We see these guys, and I can remember going in high school, just when Bryce Young played against schools like Duncanville, Texas, they would go down there, Raleigh Brown and all of those guys, and just smash them. And then, for them to kind of clown us and say that we don't have the tough players in California, that narrative was out there. And now you start to see these guys, and now the proof is really going to be in the pudding. How are we going to turn out as far as production on the field and quality of play? Like, what is your thoughts on that now that these guys are officially staying in town, particularly the 2026 class?
Well, to add to what you're talking about, keep in mind, when you look at the best high school football in the country, you're really talking about, 6 or 7 states. But it's always originally been California, Texas, and Florida. Now, we know Georgia, Louisiana, Pennsylvania, and Ohio have something to say about that, and I get all that. I give them the props. But in Florida, you got Florida State, Miami, and Florida competing for the top guys in Florida. In Texas, you got the Longhorns and you have A&M. Baylor gets a few guys every now and then. But in California, it's just us. And I respect, what Cal's program has been in Stanford, and people across town haven't really done much. But really, USC is truly the only school that is formidable, that is, of that caliber, in California. So it makes sense for us to be able to conquer the state. And listen, at the end of the day, what has to happen now is everything that we're doing, it has to equate to wins. There are a lot of people who have a lot to say about us being under the radar and this and that. At the end of the day, we have to win games, and when you win games, we'll get the respect. So, I'm ecstatic about it, man. I think it's just a new day. And once we got this California machine rolling, I mean, you saw what he did last year, what Lincoln did last year, and what we're doing with the Trinity League. I mean, which is the best football league in America, and it's in our city. I mean,
absolutely.
Come on, man. So now that we got that pipeline going, Danny Lang and Bowman and these guys and Tom and all the guys from that league, man. People see that, players see that, and it's contagious. People get the vapors, you know what I'm saying? And they want they want to be a part of this thing. So I'm loving it.
Absolutely. And for those who are listening, those who listen for out of state, we're just saying that everything starts with home first, and then you kind of trick, because USC, as always, whether you're talking about Brian, Dwayne Jarrett, Big Mike Williams, whoever you want to talk about, all the running backs that we've got. I remember getting the number 1 running back, Emmanuel Mooney, coming out of Texas. I mean, so we've always had big time players from all over, but everything starts at the home base, and that's kind of what we're talking about. So salute to Chad, Lincoln, and all these guys for finally getting this thing back together, man. And the good blend is going to be able to really catapult us to the top. Now, talking about how this translates to the field this year, I think there's really no excuse. I'm going to say that. Here's why. When I looked at this, the talent level, and I looked at where we're at right now, USC right now, and I don't think a lot of people understood and really realize this, but USC has the most players returning right now in college football, starter-wise. They're right now at 15. The next closest team is Georgia, followed by Maryland, followed by New Mexico, Oklahoma, Notre Dame. They all have 14. Oregon, 14. Virginia Tech, 14. Boise State, 14. BYU, 13. Fresno State. Don't sleep on them. We play them, 13. And then Tennessee, 13. So USC has the most returning starters. Man, can you talk about how you think that'll impact our roster as a whole, chemistry-wise, and all of that?
Yeah, well, number one, experience matters. That matters. Leadership matters, okay? And at the end of the day, what you're getting with returning players are guys who are coming back with more confidence. That's really the main thing when you talk about a player returning. That person's skill set will improve just because they have a year of film to be coached on and they can get better. But the difference with college kids is their confidence from year 1 to year 2. And once you've been in that Coliseum, and once you've done your gladiator job, and once you've put that work in and you felt that heat and you out there pounding on people, it builds confidence in you. So now you have a whole off season and a whole summer to reflect on what you did in the Coliseum last year and what you're going to do this year versus, what's it like to be in the game? What's it like to take on a hit? What's it like to, hear the crowd roar, the crowd boo? You got all that now. You know all that. And that's a big deal. Again, these are kids. These are young kids still. You know what I mean? So it's really all about confidence, man. And experience helps to build confidence. And now they have a years with the film. The coaches are going to teach them. They're watching last year's film. This during the summer and the spring, just getting better. So, man, it's the confidence, man. So when you have 15 guys coming back, including the number one class, including a few key pieces from the portal, including new leadership on defense, including a new practice play, a new style of practice as these dudes is out there banging. Man, this is the recipe for success. So the key for us is to build on top of it. Lincoln finally has momentum. He finally had, we're coming off of an undefeated season at home. That matters. That kind of stuff matters. So you got all these things to build on. Man, you put it together, and what we're expecting to see is a team that gets into the playoffs and wins games in the playoffs. What we need to do, the next step for us is going to be winning on the road. The next step for us is going to be.
Oh my God, that's a big one though. That's a big one.
Jaden, not making those same errors with some of those picks. He only had a few, but it is what it is. We're looking to see improvement all around the board. So yeah, man, experience matters. Having these returning guys matters. And at the end of the day, where we get our respect. It's not so much in the recruiting. It's not in all the highlight films we're seeing from the spring. You get your respect on game day and walking off that field with more points than the other team. Period.
No, that's facts. That's facts. And I'll start answering some of these questions. And I'm gonna put the link in the chat because we'll eventually open it up here. We want to get through some of these talking points. But how much do you think the chemistry wise will be a factor as far as our wide receivers? Me personally, I think. Yeah, we missing Makai, we missing Jacoby, but I think we got dogs. I think we got guys that can absolutely. I mean, you're talking about high caliber guys, whether it's Booby, all of these different guys. You can talk about that, but what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so again, this goes back to Jaden Maiava and his development as a quarterback and as a leader. I'm one of the benefits of having a guy who's going into year 3 of the Lincoln Riley system is because he's more comfortable with the system, because he's coming off of a very good year as an individual for quarterback. He's confident, and he was there, with Makai Lemon. He was there with Jacoby Lane. He was there the year before that. He knows what it's supposed to look like. And now that he's building his confidence, I'm expecting Maiava to lead those young receivers. I'm expecting him to set the tone and let them know what it's supposed to look like. I'm expecting him to be on them in practice. I'm expecting him to have those conversations in the building and the car ride home, walking back to the dorm, whatever it may be. That's our receivers' growth has a lot to do with Jaden Maiava. And I think this is the year where we really see him just take that next step in leadership. And you're already seeing it in some of his interviews after practice. I mean, you see him much more confident. You see him just speaking more, smiling. He's talking about players specifically. So, I mean, yeah, man. And then you have, Terrell Anderson out of NC State.
Oh, my God.
This is a guy who has serious dog experience. He has game experience. He knows what it is and what it's supposed to look like.
Absolutely.
And then you hear him talk in some of these interviews. It's obvious that he has an eye on these young receivers, and he's also taking a part in this leadership role. Don't forget, again, Lincoln Riley and our receiver coach Simmons, I think they've coached like 3 Blitnikoff winners. They know what it looks like. They know what it's supposed to look like. So, yeah, I don't have any concern about the young group, about the fact that we don't have a ton of veterans coming back. We got dogs. We got freshmen who are coming in at an elite level because they played at an elite level at elite schools in high school. And we're seeing it already in the spring. So, listen, this experience matters across the board. And I think USC, especially because of our quarterback coming back, I think we're going to be just fine in that young receiver room.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree with everything you said. Here's Ryan. He said if Jaden can keep his INTs in the single digits, sky is the limit. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Let me get this one. Oscar, he says, which offense and play, I guess you're saying which offense, a player, and defense, a player stand out this year. Yeah, I see what you're saying. What's offensive and defensive player standing out this year? Wow. You want to go first? I can rattle it off.
Yeah. Offensively, I really want to see I want to see Tanuk Hines played great as a freshman, as a true freshman last year. I want to see what year 2 looks like. Again, Tanuk, he played under Mekhi Lemon, one of the greatest receivers in USC history. And all you hear about Mekhi is his work ethic and his commitment to practice and just being focused. And there's no doubt that I have an impact on that young receiver who already showed us what he can do. So I'm looking to see Tanuk Hines, take that next step. Waylon Jordan is going to probably be our lead back as he should be. But I'm going to tell you something. King Miller is going to play with an entirely new.
Oh my God! Did you see King? They just posted a video up of him? Did you see him? I don't know if you've seen it.
I can't stress enough how much a player improves after that first year of playing and getting those reps. Your confidence goes through the roof. And when you play with confidence, Jay, I started at USC as a true sophomore and then as a senior. I didn't play with that real confidence until my senior year. And that's because that's when I really got the skill set together and all that stuff, man. When you play with confidence, you're on a whole other level. So King Miller's a guy who I'm expecting to see. On defense, listen, people may have a lot to say about this. On defense, I'm looking at Desmond Stevens.
Hey, you right there. You right there with me.
Desmond Stevens.
You right there with me. Yep.
Again, forget the 3rd and 20 against TCU. This dude was flying around. He just looked different
against TCU.
Yes, he looked different.
Yes.
And so I think because we're gonna have a better D line in front of him protecting him. That's going to make a huge difference. And then another guy who I think is just going to have a breakout year, man, is Jakeem Stewart. I'm excited about Jakeem.
Absolutely.
I think we have big guys, but what you want on defense are playmakers. When I was at USC, I played with Darrell Russell. Darrell Russell was the number 2 pick in the NFL draft. He wanted to be a Pro Bowl player. Rest in peace, D. Russ. D. Russ was a playmaking D lineman. That's what we need. Not just run stuffers, not just guys who can be stout, but dudes who can go out there and like our man did with the thick 6. He made a play. I think Jakeem Stewart is cut from that kind of cloth. So Desmond Stevens, Jakeem Stewart. These are guys I want to see. Tanuk Hines. These are guys who I'm really expecting to show up and show out.
Man, I can't disagree with any of that. I'm with you with the Desmond Stevens, but since you picked him, I was already thinking him. I'm gonna have to go with Floyd Boucard. I saw flashes last year of what Floyd Boucard could do. I think these guys are going to be aligned. They're going to know their assignments. The alignment is going to be different. And get the way Gary Patterson, we watching him coach up these guys. He has boots on the ground, and we can see his handprint on this thing already. And what I saw from Floyd Boucard, I think he's only going to improve and get better. And I would like to see him, man, and Jakeem Stewart, it's kind of hard not to pick him as well because before he got hurt, his instinct off the line of scrimmage, his start was crazy. But I'm going to go with Floyd Boucard, man. And on offense, wow. Breakout player. Did he say breakout player or new player?
I think he's just looking for key players on offense and defense. Guy who's kind of breakout. Yeah.
I like Terrell Anderson, but I think the presence of Mekhi Lemon and what he did, I really believe this with all my heart. And from what I'm hearing, I think Trent Mosley might be a little bit of Mekhi Lemon, and I think he's going to stretch the field. I think he's going to cause problems coming across the middle with the screens and all that. So I'm going to go with one offensive player, Trent Mosley, and then I'm going to go with Floyd Boucard. Those are going to be my 2 guys, man, that I feel like are going to explode. But I can't sleep on Booby Feaster either because I've been watching him. I think he's going to do some things. It's hard to pick because I know these guys be watching. Hey, look. I love all of them, but it's hard not to pick all of them. But I'm going to go with those 2 guys.
Right. I'm with you.
So, Trent, Mark on offense. Yeah, I totally agree. Looking for Thanos to have, no doubt about it. Luke Wayful, too. I can't, if we can even do this as a part as a freshman or, veteran guys, because it's kind of hard just to pick these guys. So, I want to move on to something, man. You talked about the wide receiver that transferred from North Carolina State, and it's a new rule that's being proposed now. That it's a bill that may be coming out. That's already out. Tommy Tuberville, former Auburn coach, is now in the Senate, and one-time transfer is what they want to do now. How are you feeling about the one-time transfer rule? Is it going to benefit USC? Is it going to hurt USC? What are your thoughts on that if this is actually in play?
Let me just put this out there. I came from the pre-NIL, pre-transfer portal. Okay. And for me, who played in the 90s, for my dad who played at USC in the 70s, when you chose your school, you were choosing your second family. It was period. There was no transferring or leaving. You went to that school and it was ride or die for life. Okay. Transfer portal comes in and the players have all these opportunities, and I get it, and that's okay, fine. I'm with this. I'm with this completely because the transfer portal really is what's driving people crazy. That's really what it comes down to.
Right.
I think a lot of people who are jealous of the players as opposed to NIL, but the transfer portal, needs to be tightened up without question, and it will be, because right now it's just the wild, wild west.
Well, Marvin, don't you think the transfer portal is attached to? I mean, it's hard to not say the transfer portal without saying the NIL, because that's what's kind of driving some of the excessive transfer. Yeah.
But to me, there are also two different things. I mean, listen, first of all, players need to have to honor their contract. I don't know why, you see a few schools have
I don't understand that part
and all that, but what happened to the legality here? I don't get that portion of that. These young guys need to understand you have to honor the contract. So the contract should be enforced. And then from there, the next thing you have to think about is, listen, it was a big deal to me. When I went to USC, I had two goals: graduate in 4 years and get to the league. That was it, and because to me, it meant a lot to say I was a USC graduate. That was everything. My dad did it, and he was the guy who I want to be like. And, don't just go to the school. You go to the school to get the education and get that diploma. That is everything. Okay.
Absolutely.
So I think what this is doing here with Tuberville is allowing guys to get back on that track, because we've kind of moved away and it's been focusing on the money, which I get, because that's what the world is. The world tells these kids money, money, money. So the fact that people get upset that these kids are chasing the money, their parents chase the money. Everybody on TV chases the money. Why are you mad? These kids are chasing money. Right. That's the American dream. That's the American way. That's what we do in America. We get money. Okay? So moving more forward, but we have to get back to, the value of the education, getting the education, going to class. That has to matter. It does. It has to matter, because if not, I think we're headed for a disaster. But no, I'm completely in support of this. I'm not a huge fan of Tuberville, to be honest with you, but he got this right. He definitely got this right. The one transfer rule, I think is fair, especially considering how, as you said, NIL is driving all these transfers.
Absolutely. Now, I don't have an issue with that. Shout out to you, Amy. Thank you, and I appreciate you. Fight on. I don't have an issue. And I totally agree with you on that. The one-time transfer, let them transfer. But I think the main issue is, and I don't think there's any language in the contracts because if they did, from a legal perspective, I don't think these guys will be able to transfer. I don't think they even have language. I don't think they're nowhere near the NFL. You play in the NFL. I don't think you couldn't just bounce out after your first year of a contract, right?
No, that's not realistic in the NFL.
That's not real. That's what I'm saying. So it's not contractual wise. I don't think that's what the language is saying in this.
Right. Well, I haven't seen any contracts for NIL. I don't know what it is, but I would think there's some type of commitment by the player to stay at that school. You know what I mean? And go to class and all that stuff. So I've said from the beginning, the portal needs to be tightened up. I'm okay with player flexibility. I mean, this is the thing. Why do we get on the player for wanting to go from school to school? But if you're a math major or a music major or a dance major or a science, whatever, you can go to a different school every year. No one cares, right? And you can have other programs. You can have the University of Miami's hypothetical. What if their science department is recruiting the top science kid at USC? Is that a crime? I don't think so. And if the kid wants to go there, why not? So my thing is, why do we jump on the players the way we do? It's kind of weird how we demonize them. But again, in that same breath, I will say we do have to focus on the academic part. I mean, that's something that I went to class every single time. I did my part, graduate, got my C's, stayed eligible, got my degree, and I was a proud graduate. Graduated May 14th, 1999. I never forget that. One of the best days of my life. I'm with Tuberville though. I am. I mean, we have to create some kind of stability, and then you have to focus on the word team again. We have to get back to team. Get back to the proudness of being at this university, the proudness of getting a degree from this university. And, it's just one of those things where, the money's kind of gotten things messed up as it typically does in any industry, in any situation. But we definitely have to tighten this up.
No doubt. And I think part of the problem too is it's kind of hard, especially now that they're allowing NIL to get in place and finally, players are able to get paid. But when you're talking about revenue sharing and then when you're talking about the NIL aspect, all of these things, it's kind of hard, just like any other business, it's kind of hard to, you have something projected as far as a budget is concerned, and you got players on the roster. It's kind of hard to project your budget where you got guys that's kind of, constantly just bouncing around. It's like, how do you even know what team you're going to really have for next year? And then the tampering part that comes in the middle of the year, that's a whole nother story, man. So what's your thoughts on that? And then we're going to open up some calls.
Yeah, I mean, the tampering, and that's just recruiting, man. It's been going on forever.
Yeah.
In so many ways. But I don't have a whole lot to say about that. I mean, listen, all these coaches are trying to get the best players. There are only so many elite players. There are only so many Luke Wafels and Booby Feasters and KDWs, and there's only so many of those guys, and you want to get them all. And these schools, it's so competitive. These schools are willing to do anything to get them. And they do, they do, because again, the team who has the best players and the best coaches, and that those teams typically do well. And it's competitive, man. This is competitive.
Absolutely. So what we do, we get ready to take the first call. I know I had a couple drop. My bad. Listen, you guys come in. Give us a second. Let us go through some of these calls because we want to hear from everybody. Leon, you first up, man. What's the word?
Hey, USCJ MVP3. What's going on?
Man, how you doing, Leon?
Fight on, brother.
Man, I just got off a conference call and I was like, I know USCJ live. Let me see where y'all at.
Hey, we here, man.
Yes, sir.
What you got?
I'm just jumping in the middle of this talk about the bill they're trying to pass for the players and stuff like that. And the one thing that caught my eye was if a student decides to transfer a second time, he has to sit out a year. Are we going to put those same stipulations on coaches?
Hey, that's a whole nother story though.
Double standard. No,
ain't happening. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
That's the thing I have a problem with when it comes to all these rules we want to put on the student athletes. And let's back up here. It's only normal students at universities can transfer to any school they want as many times as they want. There's no issues with them doing it. There's issues with basketball players and football players transferring. It's a problem for basketball players and football players to go pro out of high school.
Right.
Every other sport can go pro.
Right.
But we want to put stipulations on football players and basketball players. And I agree with you. I want to see some stability. I want to see some type of rule. But I just, in my heart of hearts, it's like we're not making these same stipulations for other sports and regular students at universities, but we want to put these handcuffs on football players and basketball players. I just think it's unfair. I know that's the way the world works, but this is how I feel.
No, I agree. I agree with you and with MVP. Absolutely. Anything else, my brother?
Huh? Nah. Congrats to USC, man, getting Danny Lang the other night. Really good pickup. Yo, and listen, I seen all the Oregon fans, man, they crying like you know what I'm saying? Like we just stole. Oh, that's right, they don't have a natty.
Hey, we run California, man. And there's nothing they can do about it. They thought they had something.
I just need USC to make sure we win this game this year, man, so we can keep talking the SHIT to them, you know what I mean?
Hey, I think we're gonna win it, man. We got a real opportunity. I think we do.
Yeah. All right, man. I'll let you go, bro. I appreciate you, man.
All right. Hey, fight on. All right, the next one here. Alan. Hey, Russ, you're up next. Just hold tight for me. Alan, how are you, my man? I can't hear you. If you go out and come right back in, I'm gonna take this other call, okay, Alan? And then you come right back. You'll be next. Okay. Russ.
Jay, how you guys doing, man?
Man, we good. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, bro. Man, Man, first off, Mark Culkin's been a little bit lost in the sauce these past few days. We sit here, we get this Danny Lane commitment, and we're talking about how things are going to be slowing down and everything. And I just like I'm just happy that we go back a few months and it was USC and Michigan having to stand tall against this absurd proposition about that private equity firm coming in and taking 10% of profits all the way up to 2055 or something crazy. And the only reason that was on the table is because these other schools are operating in the red constantly. And it's, I just look at how the Patriots never overpaid for people. They had to make tough choices sometimes where they didn't get to hang on to someone they obviously would have liked to hang on to. And it's just encouraging where it's look, we signed 35 people last year. That's going to cost money, right? You're paying market value for a big recruiting class. And we got some dogs, man, that are going to be contributing this year. But I'm happy to see us, the school, the leadership, acting in a responsible manner that's going to make this sustainable, where we're not just borrowing against our future for this short-term gain. I like the model we're doing where it's okay, we might not be able to sign 4 safeties this year or whatever, how Mark Culkin's having a heart attack about.
The thing is, we signed a pretty big class this year, Russ. So
yeah, man.
It's understandable. I think, you look at the guys right now, we may be done from a secondary standpoint. We got Honor, who's just a phenomenal athlete, Danny Lane. I think we got the best of the best right now when you talk about secondary guys in the state of California. So I think we good, man. But, anything you want to say on that, Marvin, from a secondary?
No, I agree with you. I think that we're recruiting the secondary at an elite level. When you consider the guy, Danny Lane just signed, you look at the fact that we still got RJ Sermons, in the pipeline. This dude was a 5-star, one of the fastest dudes in the state of California. All I'm hearing is this guy's getting bigger and just more comfortable out there. And, and then you look at, again, the guys we have coming in, Honor, for example, like Jay just said. So, no, secondary-wise, man, we're recruiting at an elite level right now. This is how you do it. Literally, this is how you do it, And we're fortunate because many of these players are right here at home, right in our backyard. We ain't got to go cross the street. They right
That's
there.
The best part about it, man. That's the best part about it.
Yeah. And you think about this too, Russ. You think about some guys guys like Marquise Gallegos, guys like D. Reddick, guys like Tristan Castro. We got a bunch of guys, man.
Isaiah Rubin too, man. We got that Rubin kid.
Isaiah Rubin. You got guys there that are still, so I don't think we don't have to go heavy because we went heavy in the 2026 class. It's all about balance and everything. You know what I mean? So I think we got guys that are here now that's gonna kind of flow through. And you couple that, you just bring a couple more on, and I think we're gonna be all right from that perspective, though. So, anything else you have for us, Russ? Man, it's good to hear from you, man.
It's good. It's good to be here, man. Just one more thing, man. I think that bill proposed by Tuberville is a nice meet in the middle. Look, like Marvin Powell, my buddy here, the old fullback is saying, these kids are making a lot of money now, and that's the fair part. They always should have been making. There was a point back in the 50s where college football wasn't big money. These kids definitely deserve money. But how do you sign, I'm going to make $8 million in NIL over 4 years, and then you can just dip on year one. You know what I'm saying? There's just balance that needs to happen. And it's with these kids getting paid good money, I don't think this isn't some cruel and unusual punishment where a second transfer, they have to sit out, sort of thing. The integrity of the sport has to be maintained at a certain point. And this is turning into, a more Wild West version than the NFL. There's a reason that we love college football more than the NFL. And it's because it's different. It's because the way it's structured is different. And I understand that it needs to change and it should change, which is why I'm happy the kids are getting paid. But if we have to sacrifice a little bit of the coaches, it's true. Yeah, the coaches can leave. They can promise kids, I'm going to be here forever, man. I'm like your father figure. And then 2 weeks later, that coaches at LSU or whatever, you know, it's just like,
right.
Of course, that's bullshit. But if we might have to put up with a little bit of bullshit to keep the integrity of the sport. And I think it's easier to stomach when these kids are getting a nice sizable paycheck, you know, to go along with some imbalances between how the coaches and the players, you know, get to operate.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this, you know, and I trust me, I understand everything that you're saying. Part of the issue I kind of had with guys bouncing around. The one-time thing was cool. You seen guys like back in the day, like Lofa Tatupu, who came from schools like Maine, who got himself an opportunity to come to USC and play. But I thought, you know, when you talk about building chemistry and then the education aspect of it, it's just like it's kind of hard, especially like college it's a big leap from college to the from high school to college. And I think what's going to happen is you're going to get a weaker NFL if guys are not, they're going to be coming out like half developed, you know, coming out. They're not going to be fully developed staying under one particular teacher. And I think that's going to be probably, you know, somewhat of an issue if they just continue to bounce around. Whereas you got a guy that stays at a particular place, learns, and then get your education, you're going to be a better quality player, I think. What you think, Marvin?
I think you have players who genuinely believe that they're good college players, and they might be, but they are skeptical about their own NFL potential. And I think they see NIL as an opportunity to get some.
No, that's a great point. Yeah.
Absolutely. So,
yeah.
You know, you're going to have the career college kids that you know, the Carson.
Now,
yeah, you are.
Now,
you're going to have the kids who want to stick around just because they can get that check. And why shouldn't they? Why not? Well,
if somebody give you money, you're gonna stay. Absolutely.
And again, so you know, it's the American way. You know, I mean, it is what it is. It's crazy that when it applies to college football, people have feelings about it, and you know, they should get paid, they shouldn't get paid, they get paid too much. That's crazy. In what industry do we say someone gets paid too much? Doctors, bankers? we don't ever say that. Why are we saying right. So, no, man, I think it creates, you know, new marketplaces, new opportunities. It's different for these kids than it was for me, you know, and people who came up, you know, during my day. So it's just different times, man. And I think we have to adjust to this. We've had the same system in place for 100 years. Yeah. And now we've had significant changes, and a lot of these football purists and just old heads, they struggle with that. And I get that to a degree, but you know, it's inevitable. Change is coming, and here we are. And, you know, thank God for the Supreme Court and Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh for allowing this to happen, that these players can get paid.
Yeah.
We
crammed 70 years worth of changes into like 4 years. Like that was the problem. Is this stuff the ball should have been trickling in on this stuff back in the 1980s.
Right.
We just held the door shut, you know, up until a few years ago, and then it exploded through.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly.
Well, Russ, I appreciate you, man. I'm gonna take some more of these calls.
Absolutely, man. Guys, it's always great, Jay. It's good catching up.
It's good to hear from you.
Fight on.
Absolutely.
You too, brother.
All right, let's see. We got Alan. Alan, you there? Wow, I'm not sure. It's not coming through for whatever reason. I'll wait on you, Alan. If you got to come back in, I'll wait on you. No problem, because I haven't seen you in a minute. Alan used to be a writer at USC. I think in the 70s. I'll wait on you. Just come back. And even if you got to unplug it, just unplug it and go without it. I'll wait on you, though. Okay. Absolutely. Hey, thank you, Chris. So we had a couple calls to drop. I'll put the link back in there. So, it's a touchy situation, Marvin, for, you know, a lot of people. And I think, you know, everybody has their different opinions about it, but I do think, of course, players need to get paid, because if it wasn't for the players, those stadiums wouldn't be filled right now. They're not going to have a stadium full of people and just look at the grass. You know what I mean? So any other thoughts on that as we wait on somebody else to come in?
No, I mean, it's just a new day, man. It is what it is. It's not going away. These players generate billions of dollars. Okay.
Yeah.
You have universities who you wouldn't even know existed if they didn't have football programs and they were getting football money. The football money drives the universities. It drives applications. It drives attendance. I mean, football is the biggest business on campus.
It is.
And you
It
have
is.
not the law school, not the business school, not all the donations from the alumni. Nothing pays that school like football money. And
No,
you
that's
don't
right.
get that football money if you don't have the elite players, elite talent.
Absolutely.
Okay, so it is what it is. We're talking about billions of dollars at stake. You notice, I mean, when it first came out, when NIL first came out, you didn't hear a lot of presidents or ADs complaining and arguing because from their perspective, if they're going to make $200 million because of the football kids, and then they got to give the kids 10, 20%, so what? Give them the money. They don't care.
Yeah.
You know how much money. A lot of these fans and jealous people and haters.
They're not realistic. They're not
They
real.
don't get it. They don't understand the business of these universities and how football is everything to these schools.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree. Chris, what's up, my man? How you doing?
What's going on, brother? How are you?
Man,
what's
I'm
up,
great,
Marvin?
Man.
Big Marvin?
Hey, what's happening, man? Fight on.
Good, man. I hate to break up the USC talk, Jay. You know, we locked in, man. So you give me advice on personal advice stuff on being newly married and with kids. But I hear Marvin talk about, you know, his up and coming son possibly going to some USC camps and things here soon.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to pick his brain on as far as Jay, you know, my situation. Marvin, I got a little 3-year-old who just picked up a T-ball bat, man, and went out there and shined just on the first day, and we didn't even know nothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to touch on, like, how do you handle as far as with your son? It's like, do you make him train every day, or kind of do you let him say, Dad, I want to go work out? Like, how did you go about that with getting him prepared?
Yeah, so really what it comes down to, my kid is, I mean, he's already on that path, man. He's a sports nut. He's the Jim Thorpe of his day, no doubt about it. His main sports are definitely basketball, and now he'll be playing football. But I started young with him and my daughter, just playing catch and stuff like that, and encouraging physical fitness, and just doing all the things to really help him understand how to have a competitive spirit and build that. It was really, it's a lot of conversations. It's a lot of, hands-on, as I said, just, throwing the ball with him and shooting hoops with him and just, making it enjoyable, and giving him the game so that he can kind of determine if he wants to run with it or not. And if, in my case, my kids did, I introduced them to sports. I introduced them to physical training. I introduced them to the mindset of a champion. My entire parental theme is about leadership. That's really the theme of what I got going on is leadership. But we could put sports under that umbrella, and I think I've done that successfully, man. So at 3 years old, I mean, he's so young. I would just encourage you to keep talking to him about leadership, about what it is to be a competitor. Obviously, when they're that young, they can't process everything, but you got to spoon feed them. You got to just give them a little bit at a time. You know what I mean? And take pride in seeing if he can catch the ball 2 times in a row. Take pride in seeing if he can do 3 perfect jumping jacks, whatever it may be, and just kind of build it like that. And for me, it's worked out well. But yeah, starting them young is the key. Getting that mindset is a key. Ray, you want him to be a dog. You want him to be a competitor, not just in sports, but in life, period. And with all that, you want him to be a leader. You know what I mean? So, because at the end of the day, it's about leadership and the impact we can have on other people. So.
I appreciate it, man. I hate to get off the football talk, man. So, Jay, I'll let you get back to it. Get some calls in on USC football. I appreciate it, man.
Hey, no problem, man. Hey, fight on. Hey,
fight
Chris,
on.
You an athlete. You know what time it is. You know what to do.
Yes, sir.
All right. Fight on, man. All right. Let's see. All right, Alan.
Now can you hear me?
Praise the Lord. We got you.
I switched computers.
That's all right. Hey, we're going to wait on you, Alan. How you doing?
That's all right. I'm doing fine. I was listening what Marvin Powell III was saying there, and I remember watching. God, I graduated in '73, so I think I saw some of your dad or your grandpa.
My father. He was a freshman in '73. He came right after that '72 championship team.
Right.
Yeah.
So I've said this on this show before. I have no problem with the payment. That's okay. My problem has always been this whole thing about every year, like JT Daniels say. I mean, that guy went through, 4 or 5 colleges. You can't, you don't even go through work like that. Okay. So if we want to talk about being professional, like when I was in a job, if I went through 4 or 5 jobs in in 5 years, nobody's going to hire me. I mean, I'm not showing any stability, and I'm not really learning anything. And anybody that's in professional football, I doubt that they're going to go and play 5 straight years with 5 straight teams and amount to anything. Okay. I think there needs to be some stability there. And I heard what you said, Marvin, about the education standpoint. I'm sorry. I can't, and I've got more than one degree, but I can't believe that somebody can go through 4 years at 4 different schools and really get the benefit. And that's what it is. It's a bonus now. I mean, they're getting paid, but it's a bonus. It's a benefit that you get an education as well. Otherwise, we might as well go to semi-pro bowl or something like that.
I agree.
I mean, that's just the way I feel about it.
Yeah. Listen, I agree. Listen, from a young age, my dad knew I wanted to play ball. Again, I was a guy who wanted to be just like dad. And, I grew up listening to stories of the 74 Notre Dame game and hearing stories about, him being a double major at USC, political science and speech. And, he was telling me when I was 10 years old, he was already projecting and telling me, Marv, when you go to college, get your degree, get it in 4 years, get it before you go, So I had that in my mind. That's why I was saying earlier, when I got to USC, I had 2 goals: get my degree in 4 years and get to the league. Period. That's what I went to USC to do. It meant something to me to have a degree from USC. I had such a tremendous amount of respect for the university on the academic side. Again, we're a top 25 school academically. Not even talking about sports, just the school wise. So that meant something to me. I took pride in that. It meant a lot to me, and I wanted to mean a lot to these players. I believe that Chad and these guys are selling the academic side to this. I believe that they're selling USC as the total package, which it is, And I think for the first time in a long time, we have people in there who are selling it the right way. So, I'm all for these kids. I want them to get their money. I want them to get that degree. I want them to get that education. I want them to, build upon this alumni network and all these amazing Trojans. Again, the Trojan family is a very real thing. It is. The Trojan family has had tremendous impact in my life, since I've left UFC. So I just hope that these kids understand the value of going to USC in its entirety, not just playing ball.
I think that's really important, that there's got to be some balance there between the money and you're a Trojan. Otherwise, you're just a mercenary. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. You're just a mercenary. If you don't buy into the fact that you're also a Trojan, then, you're just somebody that's going to be playing for anybody, any place or whatever. There's something about it,
Right. And I listen, and
I'm old school. Maybe I'm one of those old school guys.
You are old school, and that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing to be old school. I think I'm old school, you know what I mean, in regards to that. So, but again, I don't want to demonize kids, because I see there's new opportunity for these kids to make money, and maybe that's somewhere else at times, and I get that. And again, when the kids see their parents and people in society moving job to job and just chasing that check, I mean, it impacts them as well. So I'm not mad at any kid that's in it for the money. I'm not mad at any kid at all. I'm just saying that while you're here, take advantage of the opportunities that are in front of you right now. Get that diploma, pay attention in class, man, learn something, and get out there and go conquer the world.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say is I heard somebody say that, maybe we should apply the same thing to the coaches. That's a totally different situation. Those are guys that are, again, they're like me when I go out in the business world and I go up and I'm going to be a vice president or something of a company. It's different than a player in that aspect of college football. I mean, again, I'm trying to get college football where it's not professional football, where there's still some college football in it. And, it's like if John McKay That's my old guy. If John McKay goes out there and he quit, and he did, which he went to Tampa Bay, and he comes back, is somebody going to say, oh, well, no, you have to sit out a year because you left? No. I mean, that's a business thing. That's a business thing. I'm not sure.
You know, Alan, unfortunately, once money got involved with the NCAA and NIL, you're talking about money. I think Caleb, the last year, between all of the NIL and stuff, you're talking about $10 million. I think he might have made last year. That's a lot. That's a lot of money.
I understand. Yeah, and I understand that. I'm not going to even get into that. I mean, that's if they can do that, then they can do that. So I'm just talking about continuity. That's all I'm trying.
Well, yeah, I agree. But
and that's getting back to the idea of team. You know, like just getting back to the idea of team. What I said earlier, you know, earlier I said on the show that when I chose USC, I was choosing my second family, and that's how it was. Right. It is for life. You know what I mean? So the idea of the transfer portal is kind of strange, but I get it. You know, I get it, and I am happy that the guys have flexibility. I am. I'm okay with player empowerment. So I just want them to take advantage of everything in front of them, and it's more than just that 6-figure NIL check that these guys are getting.
Right.
Absolutely.
But I think they should also because I know this was Pete Carroll, but I think Coach McKay did it too. But you gotta accept, because that's what it's going to be in life too, that you may not get what you want right away, and you're going to have to compete and do that, and it's not going to get handled to you. It's not going to be an entitlement, and you can't go in there and say, I didn't get to start for 4 games this season, so I can go here, and these people tell me I can start every game. That's a decision you got to make. But I mean, you still, if you like where you're at, then you should go for it. Beat the other guy out. Or something's going to happen.
I agree. I agree. Alan, I'm going to take this last call, but I agree. I think part of the reason why some of those guys, some of them jump ship pretty quick, I think the enticing of the money now, that's what's a little bit different. Everybody's situation may be different, but I think we see some of that more. And
some of these kids don't want to compete. That's what Alan's saying. Some of these kids don't want to compete.
I agree with that.
They don't want to go through that fire. They don't want to go through that process. And that's unfortunate because it's through that process that you become great. It's through that process that you get to the next level.
But that's what I mean. It's going to be a watered down product now going to the NFL, because some of these guys are not staying in the same place. That's how development happens, is when you continue to stay in one place opposed to switching to other. But I'm saying that some guys jump because of the money. Like literally, like you might have one school, and I know some of these things behind the scenes that I'm not going to talk about, but I know that they'll find out what type of money you make, and then they'll say, hey, we'll give you, prime example, Dabo Swinney in the Ole Miss situation. They literally called a kid while he was in class. The Cal linebacker literally called him while he was in class. Ended up going to Ole Miss, and he was on campus at Clemson. You remember that story? I did a story about it a couple of months ago. So I think the situation now is a little bit different. It's kind of crazy. You know what I'm saying? So we see a little bit of everything going on right now with college football. And I think some money is involved. Some guys don't want to compete. Each situation is a little bit different. So anyway, Alan, fight on, Alan. This will be the last call, and we got to roll up out of here. Let's see here. Let me get this real quick. Uncle Boom.
What's popping?
Man, what's the word? How you doing?
Doing good, fellas. Doing good. How y'all doing?
Man, we're doing great, man.
Left.
Hey, MVP, man. Nice to speak to you, brother. It's my first time calling on Jay's show while you're on here. Nice to meet you, bro.
Listen, thank you for the support. Thank you for coming on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, what is the topic of conversation? I got in here late, and I ain't got my notifications on, so I was 48 minutes late.
Okay. No problem. Well, we talked about a bill that's been introduced by Tommy Tuberville, senator from Alabama, Auburn, and he wants the one-time transfer rule. Then we talked about USC's experience coming back. They're, leading the country right now with the most experience, 15 players coming back, and it was something else we talked about. I forgot. but those are the recruiting or USC versus Oregon that seem to be dominating the West Coast now. So those are kind of the three things we had on the table. We talked about. We got kind of carried away with this other conversation. I got lost in the sauce temporarily just now. But yeah, what's your thoughts on those topics?
The transfer portal topic, going back to the one transfer. What was it proposed? One transfer per 2 years or something like that?
5
Oh,
years. I think he wants 5 years eligibility.
Here it is right here. I'm gonna put this up real quick. This is it. He introduces this bill here, Act of 2026, aim at curtailing transfer portal chaos. It gives athletes 5 years to play 5 seasons, while only penalizing a player 1 year for transferring a second time. So it's really just one-time transfer type of deal.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with it because I mean, it's just crazy nowadays, right? But at the same time, it's kind of hard to get the toothpaste back in the tube at this point. You know what I mean? You know,
Yep.
with these kids and their agents, and they're always suing. You know, and they're basically winning every lawsuit, like damn near 98% of the time, or 99% of the time. It's kind of hard to get that toothpaste back in the tube. I mean, if I were to think about the transfer portal rule, I mean, I would make a kid stay 3 years at a school. They could then they'll be able to transfer, and then if they want to transfer one more time, it'd be a grad transfer exception after that. I agree with the 5 year eligibility portion, because you got kids out here playing 10 years of college football. That's ridiculous. There doesn't need to be 28-year-old college football players playing college football, you know, at this point, unless you got into the college football game late. That's different. But 10 years in college football, that's insane, right? Go ahead, Marvin. You go ahead.
No, you know, when you first said that, I was just thinking about, you know, some of these guys that played baseball, you know, and then they come play college football, you know, when they're 25 years old. You know what
I don't
mean?
like that. Hey, trust me, I'm a baseball guy. And I don't like that at all.
Right.
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 Yeah, because you have that one guy that he's an ex baseball player. He went to Arkansas. He's like 29 or 30.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Right.
I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, they got to
Yeah.
figure this out, man. But you know, at the end of the day, keep in mind, you know, we enjoyed this past football season just from a fan's perspective. The
Mhm.
playoffs were good, you know, minus those 2 teams who shouldn't have been in there. And then you look at the national championship in Indiana and Miami. There was some good quality football out there, man. You know what I mean? So I don't know that we really seen the product change too much. If anything, it makes a lot of it more exciting. But in regards to just player movement, they got to fix that. In regards
Yeah.
to making the players honor the contracts, I don't know why that's not being enforced. Period. And
Right.
they're going to figure that out. That's coming soon. You've already seen Nick Saban get up there, and I didn't love what he had. I didn't love his perspective, considering how Alabama was acting when they were recruiting players during the Nick Saban era. But
Exactly.
we ain't got to talk about that. No, so real talk, man.
Yeah,
So,
no, for real.
but something has to change, man. We do, and it will. This is all new. It's all new. It's
Yeah.
all fresh. They're gonna get figured out because they don't
Would
want to
you-
mess the money up.
Right. Would you be opposed to some sort of NIL construction, as in the players that are actually able to capitalize on their NIL likeness, like Caleb did and Jordan Addison did? I believe Caleb was getting NIL money from a
Everybody.
sponsorship from American Airlines, right? Just use that as an example. But it was Bryce Young and DJ Uyagalele. They were with Dr. Pepper when this thing first came out, and they were getting paid by Dr. Pepper. Would you be opposed to guys that are able to capitalize in those instances, and then have other players that are not able to get those type of deals where they're able to get the rev share part, and the other guys are there the true NIL? Would you be opposed to something like that?
I think that everybody should get rev share, and if
Yeah.
you earn the opportunity to get a big name sponsor, then great. But again, that's inspiring guys to get better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think everyone should get a piece. Everyone should get a taste, as my man Tony Soprano would say. But at the end of the day, the elite players The players who put the work in and they make a difference on Saturday, those guys should get the Coca-Cola, get the Nike, get all, that's how that should go.
Yeah,
We want to
yeah.
keep the meritocracy mentality in sports. You have to earn it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's how I feel.
Yeah, you're not going to see John Elway, making the same kind of money as some guy you never heard of. It's just his value is a lot more, and I think that's the way. I mean, it's kind of structured like that now. I think guys get walk-ons, even get rev share right now, and guys who have the names actually make the money. So I don't think that should ever be even, man, because those are the ones, those name, image, and likeness. Those are the guys that are actually going to attract those brands. Those brands are not coming just to come. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're not coming for the average player.
Yeah, they're coming for the superstar name. So no, I totally agree. But anything else? Anything else you have for us?
Yeah, I mean, it's just nice to see the recruiting getting back to where it's supposed to be. It's lacked, the last 10 years basically.
Yeah.
And it's good to see that Chad Bowden is, doing a really great thing, a great job with USC right now. I don't think we're gonna have him for long. I could see him getting an NFL job here in the next couple years, and then we'll be, trying to find somebody else. But it's just great to see the recruiting getting back to where it needs to be, or where it should have stayed, throughout this last 10-year drought. I would say.
No, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree, man.
He's doing a great job. Listen, USC is such a unique and special place that you have to know how to recruit it. You have to be able to tell these kids how we're different than going to Tuscaloosa, different than going to Chapel Hill, different from going to Eugene. I mean, you talk about, again, the weather, the culture, the diversity, the opportunity, media capital. I mean, there's so many. I feel like LA has something for everybody. No matter who you are, no matter what you're into, no matter what you like, there's a lot of your kind of people, your like-minded people there. And once a guy who really knows SC and knows knows how to flex SC's muscles, man, that with NIL put together, or even by itself before NIL, you get that, man, and you got commits coming in. This is a great place to have to sell. Can you imagine having to sell Omaha, Nebraska? Having to sell South Bend? I mean, real talk. Just think about that. You sign the MBX, you see palm trees, baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, you walk in, if you come from the South, you walk off that plane, the air is light. There's no humidity. A lot of kids don't know what that's like to live in a climate where there's no humidity. So that on top of the benefits of being at SC, just the culture. I mean, just everything about it, man. I think those who know and get it, and you can sell it, man. And Chad can sell it. He can obviously sell it. So
absolutely. Uncle Boom, anything else you had? Anything you want to say?
Yeah, and then it's great to see that the depth, you know what I mean, that USC actually has depth going in to a season now. This is actually really good depth that this team has this year. When you have conversations where you're thinking about implementing true freshmen into the starting lineup, Trent Mosley, Caden Dixon, Wyatt, Kenai Pepe, Brett Colajay, regardless if there are people hurt or not, if those conversations are being had, and then we still have those other guys that are going to be coming back off injury, it's just a great situation to be in, because that's every great football team, for college at least, has always had really great depth. And that's what we're getting back to. And it's great to see that part, because these past couple of years, USC has not had that depth on the football team. We have that at D-line, at linebacker, cornerback. I know everybody's kind of worried about the safety position, but that's going to be worked out. But you have that depth at the O-line as well. It's great to see.
What that really speaks to is the culture that they're building, that the players are buying into. Because not only did we sign the number one recruiting class, not only are we bringing in the top DBs and top players in 2027, but our guys from last year who are being offered by other schools, who are trying to be poached by other schools, the guys are staying. So we got our veteran guys staying, and we got these new bloods coming in. That speaks to culture. These guys want to be here because they see it, they believe it, they're in the building, and they know that this thing's coming together. So again, culture is something that's really happening at USC.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely. Uncle Boom, anything else before we get out of here? You're gonna be the last call for the day.
Hey man, it's always good to go duck hunting any time of the season. You know what I mean?
There you
Hey
go.
man, hey, we
Right on.
run Cali, man. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
All right, MVP, man. Hey, it's been an hour and 5 minutes, man. It wasn't hard to. Oh, let me take this. One just came through. This is the last one. I'm gonna take this, and we're gonna call it a day. Conrad, oh, Conrad, how you? Is this the 11-year-old Conrad?
Yeah,
How you doing, my man?
good.
I had to take you, man. I saw your name. I said, let me get this guy in here real quick. The smartest 11-year-old around. What you got for us today?
Who do you think will be our star freshman on defense? And I also have something to say.
Star freshman on defense. I personally think it's going to be Luke Wayful. If it's a freshman on defense. Marvin, what you think?
I would agree with that as well. I think the edge is a place where you can get a guy in there. From what I'm hearing and understanding, he out there balling. We're talking about the number one player, not just in New Jersey, but the number one player overall in the class. So, yeah, Luke is a guy I expect to do some damage this year.
Absolutely.
What I have to say, I've been watching spring practice from YouTube, and wow, they look electric. And
they do.
I think Peyton Dyer has a chance to be special.
Man, I love Peyton Dyer. You know, I had him on here. Do you remember my interview with him?
Mm-hmm.
I love that kid. He's out of Georgia. I think he's a sleeper. A lot of people not talking about him right now, but I think he's going to compete in the secondary with a lot of those young guys, man. Even like guys like Everett Hill, Tristan Castro, multiple guys that are in the back, multiple guys in the secondary right now. But he's a sleeper guy. I think you can put him at nickelback. You can put him at cornerback. Possibly put him at safety. So yeah, he's one of my favorite guys, man. I love him.
Imagine that dynamic duo, Albert Hill and Peyton Dyer.
Yeah, I mean, we got so many options on the table. You can't forget about the Williams that came out from Iowa State. He's coming off an injury. You got Chasen Johnson. He's coming off an injury. And so you got Marcellus Williams. You got multiple guys there, man, that are ready to compete for that spot. Peyton Dyer is going to be right there. And look, may the best man win.
Yep, I agree with you. And how do you feel about our defensive line coming into this year?
I feel great. I think this is that last caller just said it. This is the most depth that we've had. You got Floyd Boucard, you got Jamion Winfield, you got Cam Crawford, you got Braylon Shelby, all of these guys, Luke Wayful. Don't forget about the Penn State transfer. You got the Michigan State transfer, Alex Van Sherman. You got so many guys right now that we can Tom. You can move these guys around, and I think the biggest difference from this year and last year is that you're not going to see a drop-off from the ones and the twos, possibly even the threes. So I feel great about our defensive line. Marvin, anything you want to say on that?
About the defensive line, yeah, I feel the same way. Again, we got guys coming back. We got new guys coming in. We got transfer portals. And the most important thing is we have new leadership. We have new leadership on defense that matters. We have a proven guy, a guy who's gotten it done, and Gary Patterson, a guy who took, he had the number 50th ranked recruiting class, and he turned that into a 10-win season and put a few guys in the NFL. So really excited about everything that's coming together on that defensive line and defensive front as a whole.
Absolutely. Anything else, Conrad?
About Jakeem Stewart, do you think we'll throw him into the fire or will he play edge?
Woo! Now that's a great question. There are a lot of people, and I forgot to mention Jakeem Stewart. Forgive me, Jakeem, if you're watching. Some people like him in the middle. Some people like him on the edge. But I think personally he's going to play in the middle. I don't know, Marvin. What do you think, man? I mean, it's hard for me. The way he got off last year, as far as his takeoff, the line of scrimmage, it's hard for me not to see him in the middle. But, I mean, what do you think? I don't see him on the edge.
You know something? I want him in the middle. He's a guy that can. He's strong enough, stout enough, skilled enough to play in the middle. And again, we don't just need guys who are stout. We need playmakers who could play in the middle. And he's a playmaker. He's one of the callers compared him to Javion Clowney. Great comparison. That's a great comp. I haven't heard that one before, but I like that for him. This dude, I mean, strip fumble, strip sack, all that stuff, man. I think he's a guy who can do damage in the middle. So he's explosive. I mean, he could beat that guard, beat that center. So I want him in the middle for sure. I like our guys on the edge. I like Shelby. I like Crawford. I like Wayful. I like what we have out there. In the middle is where we need to really be strong and be athletic. And I think Jakeem gives us that.
Absolutely. All right, Conrad. Thank you, man, for coming in, man. I hope you had a good day. Did you go to school today?
Yeah.
All right.
I just checked out.
All right, man. So, hey, look, I appreciate you coming in, and you're gonna be the last caller for the day.
All right. Bye.
All right. Fight on. All right. Hey, man. So, hey, that's the smartest 11-year-old I ever seen. So, I said, Marvin, man, any last thing you want to leave us, man? I know this is not gonna be your last time anyway. Oh my God, they're coming in as
yeah.
All right.
Jay, they want to do a marathon. Jay, sometimes you gotta give what they want.
I gotta give them what they want, man, because my schedule be crazy. Sometimes I can't. Go ahead, Marvin.
No, I do got something I want to say, but we can do it at the end. Go ahead, get your call. Get the call.
Okay. Stefan.
What's the deal, fellas? What's going on?
Man, I was just about to roll out, but I had to get you, man.
I see. I had to catch y'all at the last minute, man, for y'all headed out.
How you doing, man?
Oh man, everything. I can't complain. I was just wanted to say, like, as far as that NL transfer, I feel like we do need to put like a cap on it though, because it's getting crazy. Even with with our quarterback that left and went to Boise, what was that, Nelson? Malachi Nelson, you know what I mean? And it look how, kind of hurt his situation, because you leaving when I felt like, he could have stayed under Lincoln Riley and learned a little bit more, even with our guy that just left from the Corona Centennial that went over there to LSU. What's the name?
Lawson.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And but like you said, is the money that different? Is it that much different where you leave and you playing behind somebody? Because if it's that much different, okay, I can understand that. But if it's not, why not stay and just, play, and learn from the quarterback guru? You know what I mean? Because he can really know what he's talking about and he know what he's doing.
I think he had ties to LSU.
He did.
Yeah, I think that, I think the money was comparable from what I hear. And I think I would take Lincoln Riley over Lane Kiffin, but
over anybody.
Yeah, but I mean, Lane Kiffin ain't no slouch as a quarterback.
No, he ain't. No, he's not.
Yeah, he's no slouch. So, I think that was more of a personal thing more than a business decision.
But I mean, if I'm gonna look at it, like, I get what you're saying. Like, he ain't no slouch. Let's not get it twisted. But Lincoln Riley, Kyler Murray, Caleb Williams. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. You know what I mean? So
I'm gonna tell you this. I got a call, and this, my knowledge, I did not know this at the time, but I didn't realize, even though Hassan Longstreet went to Centennial, he went to Inglewood. He actually grew up in Texas, stayed down the street from Jay Fair. I found that out.
Oh wow!
Yeah, they're all from Texas. I didn't realize that.
I didn't know that either.
I think Jay Fair, if I'm not mistaken, played with Hassan Longstreet's older brother that played at USC in high school in Texas. So,
okay.
I found all this stuff. I wasn't privy to all this stuff, so it makes sense. I understand why he's really. This is where his family's from,
right?
That area. So, this part of the reason why he left. So
it makes sense now. Okay, I get it. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, man, I just, like y'all said, just kind of regulate it a little bit. You know what I mean? But not to the point where they don't have their freedom, because they needed that. You know what I mean? Because it hurt Reggie Bush. You know what I'm saying? And they hurt the program. You know what I mean? The pay to play thing or whatever. You know what I mean? And we ain't gonna get into that. It is what it is. That's another story within itself. But yeah, they need their little free. They need their freedom, man. So, but just to regulate a little bit. And anyway, I just wanted to say too, we got to beat Oregon, man. I just want to, how I feel about Oregon. I can't stand that school. I don't know nothing about Oregon. And then one more other thing with our baseball, we doing good. I want to keep that going. I hope we bring another chip home. And then Juju Watkins will be back next year. So all these schools are thinking they laughing at us and they, dominating and all that other stuff. We're going to have our laugh.
I will say this, because I went to the game against Clemson. When we beat Clemson, I saw South Carolina play before that. And, man, I'm going to be honest. I've never seen girls that look like they so long, bro. Like, so I'm saying that to say we just got to get a little longer down in the center spot.
No. We got it. We lost 2 centers. Like, we lost one to the WNBA. She left, and we had another one that was a backup. And I think she's a doctor now. But anyway. But we're gonna be back next year because I'm gonna just be honest though. I'm gonna say this. If Juju didn't went down last year, I think we'd have won a chip with Paige Beckers and all them.
I agree,
I don't care what nobody say.
Yeah, we needed her. But look, Jazzy is a ball, bro. Like,
oh my God,
Jazzy took over that game against Clemson the other day. She literally took over that game. But
Jazzy, Sanai Hill coming in next year, and you got Kennedy. Kennedy's, I forget her name, but. It's go time next year. It's gonna be like 2 championships. Hopefully in football this year, because we got 17 returning starters and add a couple little freshmen in, and we're gonna go from there.
Absolutely.
But all right, fellas, I ain't gonna hold y'all though.
I appreciate you, man.
All right, man. Fight on.
All right. Hey, I'm getting out of here for real now. All right. Go ahead, Marvin. I'm sorry.
All right. First of all, listen, Jay, I got to give a shout out to my goddaughter. When I was at USC, I played with my brother, Lawrence Larry. He played at Little Rock High School. He was a 4-year player for USC. He gave me the greatest honor in asking me to be the godfather of his only daughter, Aaliyah Larry.
Wow.
Aaliyah Larry is one of the, if not the top student at Sierra Karen High School. And she just got accepted to USC.
Wow.
Not sure if she's going to make that move because she'll be pursued by some of the top schools in the country, including USC. But shout out to Aaliyah.
Is it all academics, or does she play?
No, she's a volleyball player for real. But this is based on her academic success, which is extraordinary. Yeah, she just like we talk about these 5-star athletes. She's 5-star academically. She's as big as you can get. So both her parents are Trojans, Julie and Lawrence, and just shout out to her. Jay, love being on your show, man. This is a blessing. A lot of people, down there in the comments, they list. You see, they list me as MVP. They see me on different various shows from USC. Mark Colkin gave me that nickname, MVP. Love that. Very thankful for that. Listen, guys, I was hired as a sports writer for Roundtable Sports. You can catch me on Roundtable. I cover the Jags. I cover the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and FSU athletics. You can catch me with the South Florida Tribune as well. And you can catch me on social media, Marvin Powell III, Marvin on the mic. Jay, looking forward to doing this show with you again, brother.
Absolutely, man. So, hey, look, this won't be Marvin's last time. We love when Marvin comes on, man. So we appreciate everybody for coming in, man. We had a good call-in show, a lot of feedback, man. So we appreciate everybody, man. So look, until later on, absolutely, half-breed. Much love to you, family. Until later on, listen, everybody stay blessed. We out of here, man. Fight on.